welcome to the very first edition of my vlog, 15 Minutes with Devan. On 15 Minutes, I'll be talking about mostly issues that affect families, relationship issues, lifestyle, and of course, much of my content will be directed at young ladies between the ages of 20 to 30, where I feel you're at the prime of your life. And there are certain thoughts I'd like to share with you if you'd be interested to listen. But on this very first edition of my vlog, I'd like to talk to us generally about the kinds of content we expose ourselves to, particularly on the internet. Nowadays, there's practically no content, there's nothing that is taboo. There is nothing you are looking for that you will not find, especially on the internet, that doesn't seem to have any filters, or that you can explore the deepest, darkest depths of anything, if that's where your interest lies. So there you have this huge treasure trove of knowledge, but it's a double-edged sword that cuts both ways. Sometimes you're out there, you're innocently doing your thing, and you're bombarded with content that can be quite disturbing. So we live in interesting times, but we live in times where above everything else, you need to protect your mind. Every now and then you'll stumble upon content that starts out pretty innocuous, pretty innocent, seems straightforward enough, and as you begin to follow, you find yourself questioning a lot. Things you thought you already knew, things that you were already comfortable with, come under bombardment. You're filled with doubt. You begin to question your values. Why are you still doing this if this is acceptable? Why should you be this way when this can go? And then if you're not very careful, if you do not know yourself very well, you'll find yourself constantly in a state of confusion. For instance, I'll give an example with one now that is becoming almost, a plague. And I'm sorry to use that word, but it is true. There is a large number of people on the internet that claim to be doing God's work, when in fact, their main purpose, it seems to me, is to confuse and confound and lead people astray. I've noticed this particularly with my own faith. I'm Christian, so that's what I can speak to. I don't know what's happening with the other faiths. But if you are not very careful, if you do not make yourself comfortable with the Bible and learn how to meet established men of God that you know in the physical, to explain, to help put you through, if you do not guard yourself jealously in that regard, there are so-called men and women of God out there today that will take you down the very broad path to perdition. And that's just one aspect. There are lots of influencers, motivational speakers, inspirational speakers like myself even, that are actually out there saying a lot of things that that need to be put to the test. When I say put to the test, I'm not saying go out there, try doing it and see what will happen to you. No. When you listen to what they say, think through carefully. Do not assume that because this person is a star, or they've appeared in so many movies, or they've had such great success with music or any other form of entertainment, or that their specialty is entertainment. So of course, I may not want to challenge them when they're talking about music. I may not want to challenge them when they're talking about acting or literature or poetry. That's what their experts are at. That's what they do best. That's what their claim to fame is. So when they step out of that, because they have a huge fan base and they're trying to sell another message, it's up to you at this point to stop and ask yourself. And not just the entertainers, I don't want anybody to feel attacked. Whoever it is that is trying to talk to you outside the sphere of what you already know them for. Are they speaking to you because they have additional experience in that regard that you might not be aware of? Or are they just doing a job? Most influencers are paid to, market a message. It's up to you to step back, think through that message and ask yourself, yes, I'm a huge fan of this person, but do I necessarily agree with what they have said? Is this person an authority? Does this person have enough knowledge in this thing too, to be able to ask me to follow this line of thought? Critical thinking. We have never needed it more than now. And please understand me. I'm talking about every kind of content that you find on the internet. Be it spiritual based, be it entertainment based. Stop when you've heard what this person is saying, especially if they're not an established authority in that particular thing that they're talking to you about. Give yourself pause. Why is this thing that this person is putting across, is it making sense? What I'm saying is we need to use our minds more effectively. There are so many ways that digital content can be manipulated. Even with the news. Nowadays, even our traditional media channels, every now and then they fall victim. Because when they do not do adequate due diligence, something looks convincing enough. So you take it and you run with it because maybe you want to be the first with the news. So you don't stop, do due diligence, make sure that you carry out all the checks, ask all the questions that need to be asked, meet everybody that's associated with that story and get to the bottom of it, get all the sides, or get as many sides as you can. We don't do all that and then we put the message out. 6 hours later, turns out that it's fake. The footage you are using is something that happened in Somali 15 years ago. And somebody is trying to pass it off as something that's going on right now in a remote village in Nigeria's far north. Calm down, assimilate, listen carefully, and after you've listened, after you've heard what is being said, give it thought. Does this make sense? Is it plausible? Is it even possible? And when that's not the case, if it's a lifestyle kind of thing, the person that's projecting this lifestyle, maybe that person lives in Canada, but because of their star power, they become a household name across the globe. They're a household name here in Nigeria. They're a household name in that small state where you live. And you like this person, you feel like he or she has, their act together, they seem so confident, everything is working for them, they're doing good. So everything they're saying must mean something of worth, right? Wrong. First of all, we're human, so we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all exercise poor judgment from time to time. But some more than others. Do you? Do you? Be you. There's nothing wrong. Mingle with everybody. Listen, hear what they're saying. But at the end of the day, sift through, pick what works for you. And as we talk about picking what works for you, a word on a cautionary note on advice, taking advice, seeking advice. When you're faced with a life challenge or any other kind of situation that you're struggling with, it's normal to reach out to other people, particularly people that you feel, I hope, have your best interest at heart. People that may have had a similar experience, people you're close to, or people you admire. You reach out to them and you tell them the problem in hopes that they can give you a message that will help you to deal with the problem. You see, with regard to seeking advice, one thing I can tell you, without any iota of doubt in my mind, people can only advise you based on what they think they would do if they were faced with a similar problem. So if they've not encountered that problem before, they're only guessing what they would do. They don't know for a fact. So that's one thing you need to watch out for. Another thing you need to watch out for is this. Does the person have the life experience, the requisite life experience, to be able to give you any kind of message that can actually solve the problem? So let's say, for instance, you're a student, you're a 19-year-old, you've messed up somehow, and you're afraid that this problem you found yourself in is the kind of thing that could actually truncate your academics. It could meddle with your, with your studies going forward. Should you be talking to your best friend who is probably about the same age as you and possibly taking also quite a lot of maybe not so wise decisions at this point in life? Maybe not. And then again, remember, sometimes when we go out seeking for advice, we don't really relay everything. We don't tell the entire story. Some of us leave out those parts that we think might make us look bad. So you see, right from the get-go, you're shortchanging yourself because you've not provided, this person you're asking advice from, you've not provided them all the information they need to be able to help you properly. So, but this is not me saying don't seek advice ever, not at all. What I'm saying is, when you go out there looking for information or advice or counseling, the sources you're getting the advice or counseling from matter a lot. What it is you're seeking advice for, it matters. You need to provide all the information that people need to be able to assist you. And then at the end of the day, when you've heard from 2 or 3, 4 different people, you are the person walking in those shoes. You know best your circumstances. You know best all the nuances and the full context of the challenge you're talking about. So it's up to you at the end of the day to sift through everything and decide what you will use and what you will discard, just as I expect you to do with my vlog. I know it's not everything that I say here that will resonate with everybody. It's not everything I say here that will be something that is of value to you. So I expect that I'm just sharing my thoughts. I'm not an expert, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a spiritualist, I'm not some kind of pastor. What's my background? I'm a journalist, I'm a development worker, I've dabbled into politics, I'm a housewife, I'm a mother, I'm in my 40s, I've had a bit of life experience. And I like sharing my thoughts, I just like sharing my thoughts. I'm just hoping that you'll just listen to me, enjoy my content, that you'll like, you'll share, you'll subscribe, and you'll watch again.